Okay, just started the recording.
Hello, guys. Welcome to this very special community call of August 2nd, 2023. This is a very emotional moment for me. And I was writing a blog post about, the launch of the virtual testnet. And I was remembering a bit about the history of Kleros and the different things that happened along the way, and that took us to where we are now. So I wanted to tell people a bit about this story because I don't know if everyone knows how we started and what were the motivations and what was the original vision we had. So I'm from Argentina, as you know, a country very famous for football, meat. No, also for being a example of economic failure of a country that was quite wealthy at some point in the past and then started to have a decline for different reasons. And I was not a poor person by any means, but I had just a good education, which was basically my only asset. And Argentinians didn't have many opportunities to work in high impact stuff, and this changed a bit, with the internet. The internet, for the first time, started to create a big world market of different things. And I saw this as a very important tool for meritocracy. If you had just a connection to the internet, you could learn how to code or how to design or whatever, and educate yourself basically. So people from Argentina started to provide services to different clients from the world, but there still was a problem. It was very hard to get paid, because of capital controls, and different financial problems, high commissions and stuff. So this was a bit solved, with the advent of crypto. So now you could get paid or make payments to anywhere in the world. And it didn't matter if you were in New York or London, Singapore or Argentina, or a very small town in India or wherever. And you had the chance of, participating in this world market, just based on your, hard work and your desire to improve your situation. That was my case, for example. But what I saw back then when I started to work in crypto is that there still was one piece of infrastructure that was missing. That was a way to solve disputes in this new economy that was being created. Because you can be in Argentina, but if someone might want to hire you from Berlin or wherever, but it's hard for them to solve a dispute with you if you're a freelancer and you are in Argentina, and they're not going to go to court against you in Argentina, or they're not going to go to arbitration, in international forums in order to resolve a couple of $100, claim or something, right? So I saw that there was this very important piece of infrastructure that was missing for a world that was starting to be born, and that would be a tool for inclusion of people from everywhere. I'm saying Argentina because that was my case, but this is something that is meant to integrate everyone into the world economy. So how can you solve these types of disputes in this new Web3 settings, in this new crypto environment? And I saw that crowdsourcing was a big part of the solution. I think crowdsourcing has been a very important backbone of lots of internet applications. Like Wikipedia, for example, showed us that you can build an encyclopedia using the wisdom of the crowd. And this works. We have seen Wikipedia work, being faster, more accurate than traditional encyclopedias. And there are lots of other examples where this can work, like Uber or whatever other platforms. And I was like thinking, how can you apply this logic to solve disputes? And how can this be used to create a very cheap and very efficient tool, which also has the possibility of having like on-chain enforcement to make sure that whatever dispute happens and is resolved through this tool is going to be enforced, right? So this was the idea I had. This was like a 2016, like long time ago already. And at some point I was introduced, to Clément by a common person from the digital governance movement, I would say. I get this email from Suzanne, that was the founder of a very old, project called BitNation. And she tells me, I was at a hackathon as a juror, and there is this guy who had this idea of a decentralized court. More or less what she said is, I just met a guy as crazy as you, with this idea of decentralized court on chain and all that. And so she introduced us, and like the story of Kleros started a bit like, these stories of the digital age, two guys from different places in the world, different countries, two guys who, had very different lives, and that were, maybe destined not to ever meet in their lives, but, that actually met through, the internet and online communities, and through a common person that was, that so that we were like worried about the same kind of problems and wanted to solve the same kind of situation, right? So we started working in 2017 and only met in person like maybe 6 months after we actually started collaborating on Kleros, and we met in person at the Cancun DevCon. I think it was September 2017. We wrote a white paper, and we started to promote this grand vision of Kleros, as a court system for the metaverse age. Then we launched our first version in July 2018. That was called Dodges on Trial. Some of you who are like really Kleros OGs might remember this. It was a registry of dodges, and Dogecoin was already important. Nobody foresaw what it would become after Elon Musk would pump it so much. We started with that first pilot, and then in 2019 we launched what we called back then Kleros Liquid, that now we know as Kleros V1, and then started developing lots of different apps that would showcase the power of Kleros in a lot of different use cases, like escrow for escrow disputes, Linguo for like microtasking of humanity, and everything. This was meant to show people how this could work, and it was developed, with very clunky tools, because back then all of the development in Web3 was super early stage, and things didn't work very well, and we had to develop ourselves lots of our tools that we used. And we also spent a lot of time doing like evangelizing of people. I remember one of the things I told Clément when we met in Cancun was, if we're going to succeed, this is going to be like 50% because we can build a good technology, and then 50% because we can explain how this technology works and get people to trust it and to use it. It was about building the trust and legitimacy. And then along the way, we also learned a lot about the market and understanding what the market wanted and what things we needed to develop for the market to trust Kleros and to be willing to use it. For example, more sophisticated decision-making logics, the possibility of having courts with one person, one vote, the use of soul-bound tokens to draw jurors and look for higher diversity in the pool. So all of this is what went, into research that that William did, and that was published in lots of papers, blog posts, and lots of different talks in conferences. So the launch of Kleros 2.0 is going to be like an inflection point in the life of the project. Why it took so long? Because of all the research that went into it, because it was also built from scratch. V2 is way cheaper, which will help address like lower value use cases. As I said, it will allow for a more decision making, more varied decision making logics, more sophisticated jury selection and voting processes. Also, it's going to work cross-chain, and this is why we developed the VIA bridge, right? So when we started Kleros, I mean, the only thing that existed was Ethereum mainnet, which obviously was very, very expensive to resolve a big part of the cases that we wanted to target, especially the case that we typically pitched when we presented Kleros. It was Alice and Bob for doing a website. Also the fact that Kleros V2 is a piece of technology that is built for the long run. So we designed this to be highly modular. So there's not going to be a V3 coming anytime soon. But there's going to be development of new modules for adding more decision-making logics, adding different elements that we might want to add, but that will be able to be added without requiring any rebuild of the main infrastructure of what Kleros V2 is going to be. I mean, the future brings lots of exciting use cases. Lots of the things that to me are really exciting are, for example, understanding better the interactions between Kleros and AI, for example. And for sure, there's going to be more development of new interfaces. Imagine, for example, a Kleros court that is deployed on VR in a metaverse world. So lots of cool things like that are going to be added on top of the Kleros V2 infrastructure. And also, since this moment, the focus will be way more on ensuring adoption and development of the community. As I said, V2 brings the possibility of having way more use cases, which is expected to bring way more cases. And this will come also with the need to onboard more people as jurors, okay? And we will have way more people coming into the community in the future. If you are basically in this call, it's because you are, you're an early adopter, because this is only starting now. And I hope we'll have an important role to help spread the message that is going to come. So I know we are very eager to start using V2. I don't want to bore you, with the old man, speech. So I just wanted to say that the court is going to be, the testnet of the Kleros V2 is going to be released on Wednesday, 9th of August at 6 p.m. UTC, when we hold our next community call. So guys, this begins now, and super happy and super emotional to be here with you on this moment. And I will now let JB explain a bit more about what we're going to show you the next week and some of the technical details that he will explain. So thank you very much, guys, and JB, the floor is yours. Hopefully you're there, or I put you to sleep. No.
Hey, guys. Were you asking me? Sorry, I have a few people around me, and
Yeah, okay, no problem. No, take your time. I mean, I just make an introduction of the market and the general vision of the project. I mean, maybe you can tell a bit what we are going to show in the testnet, what people I mean will be able to use. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's obviously a lot of effort from the entire team to build V2. There are many moving parts, and we'll keep improving it continuously. But we feel that at this point, it's in a place where you can already get a feel of what the experience will be like. And I think at this stage is the main the main thing that is the most visible improvement is the UX of the court, the front end part. Of course, V2 is not just the front end; it's a different architecture. It's much cheaper, but that won't be that obvious at this point because it's still on testnet, and the architecture will really show like shine when we will add new functionalities which were not possible in V1, and when we'll be able to onboard partners much faster than we could with V1. And I also believe that we should see more community, like organic integrations from the community, because it will be that much easier to integrate. So at this stage, I think that we are going to like provide more info next week, but the main thing I would expect the main is the UX. You will see that it's completely different from V1, and not just the code, but also the dApps, like in the future the curate frontend, the future escrow frontend, the dispute resolver, etc. The whole ecosystem will be migrated to the same stack as the court, and you can expect to have the same responsiveness as the V2 court in the dApps that are migrated to V2.
Yeah, we will have, I mean, estimations of cost of disputes, like I don't know if 10x cheaper, but way cheaper. As I mentioned, a lot of the most exciting use cases of Kleros are in the world of small claims, right? Consumer claims, freelancing stuff. This was hard to do with V1 because of cost. Now it's going to be able to be addressed by the new court. A great thing also is, as JB mentioned, how the integrations flow happens. Kleros' vision is to be the decentralized court for a lot of the Web3 ecosystem. So if the integration process is easier to be done, this is way easier to get faster adoption from different dApps in the ecosystem. So this is super exciting. And yeah, for us, it's for me particularly, it's a very emotional moment, and very, something that we have been struggling for a long time. And as I said, this is going to be a piece of infrastructure that we expect to be able to be used for a long time because of this modular design. Maybe you can explain a bit more about that, JB. What do we mean by modular design? How that works, and how new stuff can be added to Kleros in this context.
Yeah, sure. So the arbitrator role is actually broken down into different pieces, and we have this the main, what we call the Kleros core in V2 will be probably will not evolve that much, but there are other pieces like the mechanism to submit evidence. That part will be upgradable, because that will allow us in the future to have possibly some mechanism to moderate the evidence, and maybe even add different rules that are relevant for certain maybe subcourts, certain integrations on the type of maybe the who should submit what kind of evidence, and yeah, the moderation could actually be done on chain, and then the front end, of course, the way the evidence is presented on the front end is also very important. It's a hard problem, the moderation of evidence, for example, and we'll always make it possible to display all the pieces of evidence if someone really wants to, but at least someone who just lands on a dispute, if some of the evidence has been previously marked as either spammy or low quality or invalid, then they would be downgraded somehow. It would be less visible. Like this issue of evidence spam has never existed that much on Ethereum because there's a transaction cost associated, but that could become a problem as the transaction cost becomes cheaper. That's one. Another part is what we call now the partition module, that will allow us to draw the jurors in different ways, and in particular, right now it's a very highly optimized implementation that allows us to draw completely on chain based on the PMK weight. If we want to have a purely one person, one vote, that everyone has the same odds of being drawn, we need that kind of modularity. And if we want to have even more sophisticated mechanisms, actually Shotaro in particular has been working on this. Some of the drawing of the draws, some of these tasks could be done off-chain and then just verified on-chain afterwards. And the architecture that we have right now is future-proof to allow this kind of improvement in the future. And then a third aspect of the modularity is the dispute kit, which includes all the appeal logic, the way the hidden votes, which relies on a commit reveal scheme, and the way the votes are cast, and the way the appeals are funded, and in particular which sides, which answers in the questions should be funded or should be available in the next round. Those are research avenues that have been explored in the yellow paper and that can be implemented as a different dispute kit.
So, this might sound complex, but basically what the problem that it solves is that you have, let's say we have some potential DApp who wants to integrate Kleros, and they say, look, we want this type of decision-making logic, we want this type of ranked choices or whatever. So we will be able to accommodate our offering to a wider amount of partners, and this will greatly increase the possibility of more dApps integrating Kleros. And since the integration process is way faster and way simpler, it will increase like a lot the potential integrations that we might have, right? So that's yes. Going to be an important issue for business development. Yeah, go ahead, Jamie.
Yes, thanks for mentioning that. I was missing that part where the dispute kit will allow us to have more different non-binary answers to a dispute. So right now we can have like n different possible answers, but we can pick only one, and it's either that one is the final ruling or nothing else. But in the future we could have more complex rulings and more complex choices. And yeah, and I just mentioned in passing that Reality actually has been an inspiration, because the way that they have designed their templates for the questions on their escalation game is actually ahead of what was available, for example, in V1.
Yeah, so that will be way more flexible then. And so, I mean, I guess we will see what the community surprises us with. I mean, I can imagine V2 enabling people starting to build different front ends for the court. As I said, maybe a front end built on VR. Who knows? This is definitely where the world is going. So imagine having a real VR courtroom where jurors meet. So that's possibly one of the cool stuff that we will see on V2. As we said, I mean, we try to build this as flexible as possible, so we enable people from the community to surprise us, with more stuff. And also, I think it's a bit worth mentioning the work we have been done to make sure that V2 can also work across chains, and so you understand why VIA is important. Maybe Clément, you can explain a bit what is the cross-chain vision of V2.
Yeah. So the idea is to have one, to have the main court on one platform, so a wallet, but be able to have disputes anywhere. So this can mean on L1, it can mean on other L2s, it can mean on other chains. Such that the jurors, they always vote on the rollup, but then they can have a dispute which can come from anywhere. And for that, we need to be able to give the ruling on other platform and to give it in a fast way, because you don't want to wait a week or more to have your ruling executed in most cases. So then the idea of VIA is to have this optimistic bridge where most of the time you just have someone who will report the result on another chain, and if no one complains, there's going to be optimistically executed. So it's going to be what the app is going to take as a ruling. But now if someone makes a wrong report, someone can challenge that, and then we go through the native bridges, which can sometimes take a week or something like that. But because there is no strong incentive to misreport, except just delay and bother people, most of the time people report correctly, and if they misreport, well, they lose the deposit, which is partly burnt and partly given to people who manage to challenge, in this case, challenge in terms of computational challenge, not in terms of juror, to challenge the wrong report. So in the worst case, it's like using the normal bridge. Yeah, so in the worst case, it's like using the normal bridges, but in the average case, it's getting something which is way faster.
Yeah, so we have a multi-chain fast court that is way cheaper, that has way more flexible, decision-making schemes that can accommodate a wider number of use cases. And I guess now it's easier for you to see, different initiatives we did over the time. For example, different pieces of infrastructure we built to try to accommodate this big vision we had since the beginning of the project. For example, proof of humanity as a tool for this idea of having a decision making by jurors, one person, one vote, and the use of soul-bound tokens to pick jurors and make sure that there's more diversity or other goals in the selection. Do watch William's talk at DevCon Bogota if you want to learn more about this. VIA for having this cross-chain infrastructure. So all of these little things that we started, but little, they're very hard to do, are like converging in this vision that we call Kleros 2.0. Maybe Shotaro wants to add something. Yeah, I will let you say something if you want.
Sure. Like, the topics are all already pretty well covered. Like, for example, the sortition module that JB mentioned. Essentially, the sortition mechanism works very well for drawing jurors with one strategy, which was used in V1. But if we start to introduce filtering jurors based on SBTs that they own, or even, if they are registered in Privy Humanity, then you could do some sort of quadratic scaling even. So like these new selection strategies can be supported with an updated sortition module that we even have a spec for. And like it essentially, like, V2 is going to launch first with the V1 feature parity, but we have lots of features that we do plan to build out when we have more development capacity to work on extra and advanced features. But yeah, like, Kleros V2 should be it, and we can progressively update it, update the modules over time. And then, yeah, just about VIA. So like we have the DevNet launched, and making good progress on, also VIA will have a permissionless testnet that anyone can run a bot to operate the bridge. So we'll like keep the community updated when that's ready, and encourage everyone to run some parts of the VIA bridge infrastructure. That's pretty much it. Lots of things to share coming up.
Thank you, Shotaro. Well, this is about the technology. Maybe I will let Damian, if you have something to want to say about the coming, community development and stuff, about how we plan to bring more adoption and people to the community.
Thank you very much, Fede. If you hear something in the background, that is my little one. I am taking care of her tonight. So if you hear screams in the background, that is a 20-month-old. So yeah, I think that with the coming of the testnet, what we are going to see is definitely an increase in community interaction, because after a long wait, we finally have something new to play with, and I'm very excited about what's coming. On that note, I can share a little bit. I wasn't, and I am sad about it, I wasn't at the community call after ETHCC, and I have to say that, the experience of ETHCC was enlightening for me, given that something that I've noticed as large narratives that are going around the space, first and foremost, is that many different actors in the ecosystem see 2024 as a year when projects that will create actual real revenue will become very focal, both to investors and to different kinds of businesses, both in Web 2 and those that are nascent to Web 3. So we will get an opportunity to actually interlink many different aspects of the ecosystem and see some arise that we actually haven't seen ever. And the second thing is that, the natural use cases of Kleros are now coming to light, which are very exciting, starting from, a buzz around TCRs slowly gaining traction across, again, VCs and investors and private investors and businesses, to, the entire topic of subjective oracles, to many other. So looking at that, I think that one of the things that we'll be doing with the community is actually, deepening our communication and sort of starting to get a little bit more on the ground level, moving from this kind of a bulletin board kind of communications that were present until now into a more interactive kind of pace. Jean and myself will be spearheading that effort, to actually start drawing the strength that we already have, that is lying underneath the veil of Kleros, to actually start getting more integrations in a more intensive pace, especially because, it will now be a lot easier, as JB said, to expanding our juror base as well, given that, this kind of expansion of numbers is something that we need to keep a close eye on. So looking at the coming of V2 in general, and especially the testnet now, which is our short-term aim, is something that, again, I can only be extremely excited about. And we're getting very positive signals from the ecosystem in general. And I think that, the promise that Fede and Clement had in 2018 of Kleros being somehow at the center of this growing ecosystem that was just being born then is something that is slowly coming to fruition. And looking forward, it will become a very tangible reality somewhere in the first quarter of 2024. So this is pretty much what I would have to say on the matter.
Thank you, Damian. Well, I guess that's it. I hope that you are as excited as me, and for me, it's a very emotional moment. As they say, talk is cheap. Show me the code. So next week at this time, you will have your hands on the code. So yeah, super excited and very good time coming. So guys, thank you very much for coming. And yeah, the future is arriving right now. Thank you guys. You can claim your very special pop-up now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Cheers.